what practices and perspectives could help us recognize and honor the subtle layers of our growth, even the ones that are hard to see as we continue to shed past versions of ourselves. I think the first part of it is like, we're all hard on ourselves, right? Like we're the worst judge on ourselves, like really harsh on ourselves, and we beat ourselves down, we treat ourselves badly, and we talk to ourselves horribly, and most of us don't need help with that. So the first part is actually helping rewire that, and this is where, as kind of airy fairy as things like gratitude practices can sound, gratitude practice is really powerful because it switches from, let's say, complaint in the mind or worry or doubt into what already exists, right? So your mind says, I need proof. It's like, yeah, I have proof, right? So you start with, and sometimes, you want to go into the gratitude practice and like, okay, what am I grateful for today? And the mind goes, nothing. I got nothing to be grateful for. It's like, okay, start small then. I'm breathing. All right, that's good. So I'm grateful for this breath. I'm grateful that I can have this breath, the inhale and the exhale. That means I'm alive, right? I'm grateful I've got a body and whatever level of health that I got right now. I'm grateful that I've got a roof over my head. I've got, food on my plate, so to speak. I'm grateful, right? Like, and if we want to, we can choose to actually shift the focus of the mind on what we already have and to be grateful for it. And on an energetic level, what you're saying thank you for to the universe, the unspoken part, the extension of that is, thank you, universe, more please, right? And the universe goes, oh, okay, more of that. Yes, sure. So you then, whatever you are thankful for and grateful for, you get more of, because there's the unspoken extension to thank you, which is more please, universe. The universe goes, oh, okay, you like that, so I'll give you more of that. Because it doesn't judge, right? Like good or bad. It's just that as a human experience, we're having this experience where some things feel really difficult and hard and horrible, and others are like, oh, this is really good and easy and amazing. But in the eyes of, you could say, the universe, like all experiences, like there is no judgment. It is just an experience. This human life is an experience, right? It's like all of it together. So to begin with, the rewiring of our nervous system, that you could say, like on the level of the brain and the nervous system, the reticular activating system, for example, is always looking for what to pay attention. And because there's infinite amount of information coming in, stimulation coming in all the time, we have to kind of tune out of most information and focus on what is important. And if the brain and the nervous system first says, I need to look out for if I'm going to survive this moment, right, which is what survival is, then it is going to look for things that, like, okay, what is the threat here in this moment? Or what are the threats? And if you're looking for threats, then you will find threats. If you're looking for what's good in your life, then you will find what's good in your life. If you're looking for what's amazing in your life, you will find more of what's amazing in your life. And so that simple practice of first acknowledging and giving thanks. So, if you want, you can add to gratitude, which is acknowledgement, right? Acknowledging your small to big wins, which is the opposite of sitting there and the mind complaining or worrying or beating yourself down or, like putting yourself down, basically, right? Like giving yourself a hard time, winding yourself up in the head. It rewires, it gets you out of that instantaneously. And gratitude as well, right? So straight away it starts to bring you out of that, and the myelin sheaths, the connections, the synaptic connections that we are training and strengthening, right? Those connections fire up quickly. The ones that we have practiced fire up quickly. So if you've practiced worrying a lot, then that thought that we worry about all the time, that we have all the time, is the one that happens very quickly because we've practiced it. But you can actually stop practicing that and start to shift your focus onto something different. So if you start to give thanks and look for what's good in your life rather than what's all the things that's bad and horrible, right, which you could say a lot of victim mindset people tend to have. It's like, oh my God, everything's woe with me and life is horrible and everyone's against me, life is against me, the government's against me, everyone, right? And therefore you will find more of that, right? Those people are always sitting and complaining, bitching, whining, moaning, oh my god, everything's horrible. And it's like, yeah, maybe there are things that are really difficult, but if you have problems in your life, just just to let you know, in case you have problems in your life, welcome, you're alive. That means you're alive. If you have problems, well done, stage 1 tick, done, you're alive. If you don't have problems, then enjoy it, be grateful. But the chances are, every solution, every problem you have and you bring a solution to, brings you to the next level of problem. It's called evolution, it's called life. And life is filled with that. But it's not only that, right? Life is filled with all of it together, the good, the bad, the easy, the difficult, the horrible, the everything together, right? You can have your worst day and you can have your best moment in the same day, right? Your most connecting moment in the same day as your worst day, right? Where you get some horrible news maybe. So being able to actually move through and acknowledge, and training your brain to focus, because we still have this ancient brain and nervous system that is trying to protect us, and in a time where we have created our human life today, the modern human life today is unrecognizable right, to our ancestors, but our nervous system still lives in the time of our ancestors, still looking for survival. And we've created so many things for our brain to actually go, oh my goodness, that, right? There's so much stimulation. We're constantly living in fight and flight and not rest and digest. So, we're heightened, we're hyper alert, right? We're worried, we're freaked out, we're panicked, our mind winds things up even more. So the first thing is to actually calm it down. And one of the ways to do that is gratitude and acknowledging, little to big wins. The more you can do that, it's not ignoring the things that are not working or the problems, but it actually gives you, allows you to enter into a more resourceful place within yourself, so that the problems, when you enter into dealing with the problems, solving them, taking steps, which by the way, the problems won't go away unless you deal with them, right? That again is life, this human life, and how it works. When you enter into solving the problems, you'll be in a much more resourceful place. And then your question, Viviana, is a bigger question than that. So there's other parts to it, I'm guessing, from what I can understand, like, around our growth, and how do we shed past versions of ourselves? How do we basically, I guess, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, you can say it in the chat if it's not what you're asking. Like, basically, how can I help myself grow, right, and evolve more? Like, what is it? How do I see things? And that comes from actually paying attention. Sometimes life will give you feedback in kind of intense ways, right? So a lot of times our relationships around us, the near to far, the close to the less closer ones, a lot of times even you don't have to look far, the close ones, the ones we spend more time with, there's feedback, there's things that are coming up all the time, and some things are working, some things are not working. So it's like, okay, stuff for us to look at, and this is where training awareness within ourselves can help. And then being willing to look at it. And I'm biased, but I'd say, that's where doing this kind of work is really powerful. And most of you know, because you are, in this body of work, where things like our inner circle check-in sessions, where you have someone to actually facilitate your process, help you guide through, because there are, in the work that we need to do, most of the time there are lots of blind spots. There's things that's very obvious for people outside of us, right? Other people that we're dealing with or having to deal with us, but we can't see it ourselves, right? Because they're on the receiving end of it. So also having, open communication with the people around us can help, but a lot of times you don't want to get into some kind of therapy type situation with your family members or friends or partner. Most of the time just observing, like you will have things just, you'll come up against things, you'll hit up against the wall, so to speak. And, there's two parts, there's two sides, right, in any kind of dynamic. And most of the time, if you're open to working on it, that's where I think bringing into this kind of an environment where we, I'm facilitating the process and helping guide people and help you seeing the blind spots, but not only see it, but help you guide through and shift and heal. So, a little bit biased kind of answer perhaps, but I'd say this is where inner work is really powerful, or having someone kind of support you and facilitate your process, and community can really help as well. The people that we surround ourselves with, that, because they will also be at the receiving end of our communication and of our way of being. And this is where I think our community is amazing, because, there's loving, supportive people around us that just have our backs and love you and will call you out in a loving, kind way and see your greatness even when you give up on yourself or wanting to give up on yourself. So that can really help as well. But as far as practices go, you can address it on the level of the body, because the body is always speaking in sensations and it's always giving feedback. You'll come up against things in life, and whether, in any area of our lives, whether you're running a business, you will see, because your way of being in the business, it's going to show. Your way of being in relationships, right? All the different kind of relationships, intimate, non-intimate, will show. There's feedback everywhere, all around us and within us, and it calls for us to start to pay attention. So some of it, you will have an awareness of, and some of it you might not have an awareness of. And I think that's where the bits that we can't see, because it's our own blind spots, that's where being in an environment like this can really help, and support and this kind of work.